So let's just cut to the chase here. I think Sea of Thieves is in a really tough spot. Now, let me break it down for you, Mark. This video is in no way meant to insult the developers or the fans. If you think this video is going to be 8 minutes of me complaining about developers that clearly take pride in the work and genuinely want to make a fun pirate game, then you're in the wrong place. Anyways, now to explain my thoughts. Back in 2022, I put out a video about how little new content was added that year, with the bulk of the year adding forts that mechanically speaking are the same as the skeleton forts with slightly different AI and reused assets from pirate life. And the ability to name your ship, save cosmetics, and of course, adding more cosmetics. Oh, and there was a new trading company, but they really don't add much in the grand scheme of things. Now, admittedly that video is quickly dated since it released on the same day Season 8 came out, the new update that single-handedly regained my faith in the game's future. Not so much because I intended on grinding out the new PvP game mode, but rather showing me that Rare was open to adding new game modes and changing up the core gameplay. Now, barring the rise of cheating and some odd efforts to balance some gameplay mechanics in an attempt to make the PvP game mode run smoother, it was overall a pretty solid season. Then, in March of 2023, we got Season 9, which added the Skull of Fate, which made activating the Fort of the Damned easier. They brought back an old world event after removing it for adventures, which I've already gone on record as not being really a fan of, and the Monkey Island Tall Tales, which, to be completely honest, I never actually completed. I played through the first chapter twice with some friends, and admittedly looked gorgeous, and has great music, but the overall content just wasn't engaging at all for me. Another factor that added to my lack of interest was having to wait a number of weeks to play the rest of the story. The first chapter was a bunch of beautiful looking glorified fetch quests, and immediately sent me back to the Sea of Thieves when the story was actually getting kinda cool, which really hampered my enjoyment. Simply put, my reaction upon completion was a resounding, "That's it?" On top of that, unlike something like Pirates of the Caribbean, I have no connection to Monkey Island games, so I was just really lost on the references. It came off as a crossover event only meant for the most niche sections of the Sea of Thieves fandom. I can't speak for everybody with their experiences on Monkey Island, but Pirates of the Caribbean was just objectively a really popular movie series in the 2000s, and it's still pretty popular overall. So Rare struck gold by doing a crossover with it. I know so many people that got the game around the time just because of the crossover, so of course Rare wanted to recreate that success. Given that they were already partnered with Disney, it made sense that they want to recreate the success with another Disney property. But Disney doesn't own much else that could fit in with Sea of Thieves. Yeah, they've got Peter Pan, but that was a smash hit in the 50s and is not exactly the most popular film today, and I doubt Rare wanted to do a crossover with Treasure Island or Muppets Treasure Island, so they went with a property that the devs admitted was a nostalgia game for them. And for what it's worth, I can really tell that they did actually care for the property. But I just have to be really honest here, I don't think that was the best direction to go in. Because now the bulk of Rare's focus in the year was a glorified 3D sequel to Monkey Island, in a sense being its own new game, instead of focusing on progressing Sea of Thieves. Consider that we still haven't heard anything about Flameheart in forever, nor have they done anything to progress the adventures, which shows they probably realized they weren't the success they hoped they'd be. So then going back a bit further into the year, we got Season 10, which introduced guilds, which, again, I'm just being honest here, would be a far better fit for the captaincy update back in 2022, since it deals with the sovereigns anyways, and it's all about an individual player being some kind of permanent property owner in-game regardless of whether they're in a session or not. Season 10 also introduced the Skull of Siren song, which is admittedly a really cool addition, even if it's built on a blend of already existing game mechanics, and safer seas as well. Just recently we got Season 11, which introduced redundancies for trading company representatives since you can just find voyages in your captain's quarters, and a new cosmetic type with rings, and fast travel. So that means for the entirety of the past year and a bit since the PvP update in Season 8, we really haven't gotten much new content outside of one world event made from old mechanics, the reintroduction of an old world event after being arbitrarily removed for story purposes, of which haven't even been fully explored and we're still waiting on the return of the main villain of the game over a year later, a series of tall tales with a very niche fanbase, and fast travel in a game where the entire point is to explore and maneuver through dangerous waters. That's not great. Granted, I won't be hyperbolic and trying to claim Sea of Thieves is dead or it's in the worst possible state I've seen a game in, because it just factually isn't, but that doesn't mean I think it's in a great place. The fast travel is especially irksome for me, since I believe it fundamentally misunderstands the whole point of the game. Allow me to present a hypothetical situation here. I have half an hour to kill with a friend of mine, so we hop on Sea of Thieves for a bit, and given the time crunch we have, we choose to fast travel to the main location of the same voyage, doing everything from the main menu now, available in the captain's quarters. We quickly do our voyage, since most missions in the game are admittedly pretty easy, and we collect our loot and sell. Now, in the face of it, this might seem like a brilliant change, cutting out what might seem like superfluous filler getting from one place to the next. I'd argue much of the fun and thrill of the game is how you avoid other players and enemies in the world on your way to and from your destination. Quite literally, the whole message of the game is, it's not about the gold, it's about the glory. The destination doesn't matter. It's the adventure that takes you there that does. But now a substantial part of the game is just entirely optional, allowing for the sunk cost fallacy to kick in for people who want shorter experiences. And to be honest, I'm not sure if Sea of Thieves can really survive for long off of players doing short sessions. This is a game that thrives off of sinking hours into it and getting players addicted to it. So, who is this trailer really for? Like, I'm sure there are people who really don't enjoy sailing, but I wonder why they're even playing this game to begin with. For longtime players, I've only been hearing either confusion or a lack of interest for this. And I can only imagine that your average gamer who's never played Sea of Thieves probably won't be convinced to get it simply off these changes. Like, honestly, do you really think rings, fast travel, and more cosmetics will convince them to play? I don't think so. And that's another thing that's starting to get annoying. Cosmetics. Now I get it. Some of these look really cool, and I know plenty of people that love trying different combination of ship parts for their ships and different clothing items for their pirates. But that being said, that's literally the only reward for progression. I played the game religiously until I got to Pirate Legend a few years ago, and since then I've steadily stopped playing the game. I'm just not interested in cosmetics, to be honest. I often just sail with very minimalistic ship sets or a preset costume on my pirate. So it doesn't mean much to me. And I really can't be the only person out there who thinks that, because I keep hearing about players who give up when they hit Pirate Legend. Not out of any sort of malice or annoyance, but more just out of a lack of interest given how little there is to do after that. Now, I don't want to come off as all doom and gloom, because this is one of my favorite games, so I'll toss my hat into the ring for new gameplay concepts. Firstly, what if we got a bounty hunting system? You could just place a bounty on a player you want, name your price, and in any server the player joins, there will be a sign at the outpost with their username and ship name. This could be a really fun new threat on the seas, keeping players both on their toes at all times, but also on the hunt if they choose to accept the job. Another idea would be more customization for ships themselves, but not merely cosmetics. I mean full-on new types of sails, hulls, and mounts that can be balanced by the user to create their ultimate vessel. What if there were lighter hulls that were faster but took more damage when hit by cannonballs? What if there are slower ones that can take more damage? What if there were sails that made the ship far faster but obnoxiously lacking in maneuverability? Or slower sails that turn on a dime? What about front-facing cannons that weigh down the ship and make it ride lower in the waves? Or maybe side-facing harpoons? Basically, let players customize their ship with all sorts of different stats similar to a car in Mario Kart, with all sorts of pros and cons for each choice. Some might think this would lead to insane discrepancies in ways to play, similar to GTA 5 Online, but I'd argue due to the existence of safer seas, that point is ultimately moot. We also just need new areas to explore and new types of gameplay in general. The Hourglass PvP is a great start, so I really hope they follow through with that and keep innovating with new ways to play. My hope is that they spend the rest of 2024 and the years to come with a strong focus on new content, not quality of life updates. We're at a point where there's almost nothing else that could really make it easier to play the game or get into for new players. What the game needs now is content. We need the story to progress and the gameplay to have expansions rather than revisions, and a constant output of such. Anyways, those are just my thoughts. What would you guys do to improve Sea of Thieves? How often do you guys play these days? Do you guys think Season 11 is a good update? Or one that needed to happen when it did? I'll leave that to the comment section. You guys know the drill. Subscribe to my Patreon page, check out my Discord server, click the like button and subscribe, all that jazz. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.